Good day and welcome back to Elementary 72 Gaming. Before I get into this video, I'd like to ask you all to please leave a like or comment on my video. Consider subscribing to my channel, and if you dislike the content, please leave a comment. Now, moving on with my ship builds, this is the ship I would say I am most excited for when it does come out. Now, I'm hoping that it comes out before the next few weeks are over because a lot of players are looking forward to it. This is the Mordus Legion, and that is the Orethus vessel. Now, the Orethus is a full missile weapons rig. Now, it doesn't have the advantage of being able to swap between the two options of Guardian and Assault vessel. It might be a little bit stronger than most vessels, so that's gonna be its big bonus. So it is gonna be set up more like a sniper. And when you see all the stats, you're gonna understand exactly why. Now, as I said, Modest Legion isn't in this game as yet. Also, the Sisters of Eve aren't in the game, so the Stratos or the Stratos isn't in the game as yet because Sisters of Eve don't give you blueprints for vessels. They don't have a faction yet in terms of acquiring their blueprints. So those things need to get into the game really quick because they are in this level of gameplay, and the fact that they aren't here is giving a very unfair disadvantage to muscle based players. Okay, so let's get into the roll bonus. Minus 50% missile or torpedo flight time. So this means that you're going to travel a smaller speed with a smaller distance with whatever you're firing from it. The bonus to it is plus 200% velocity. Now, these two are counterintuitive. Minus 50% to the time that it has, plus 200% to its velocity means it's going to travel further, so you're going to get some range on the missiles. But an increase in velocity also means that they miss far less with this vessel. So you almost guaranteed every single hit within your range. Anything that shows up within even the maximum range should get hit with this weapon. Now, moving down, here's what you get for every level of advanced missile torpedo operation: plus 5% damage and plus 5% explosion velocity. Now, this also improves your damage overall, so you're hitting harder, you're hitting faster, and you're not going to be negated as much by speed tanking. So, this vessel takes out that opportunity, so small vessels will take massive damage from you. And with the total damage that you're going to get, a plus 25% damage bonus plus a 25% explosion velocity. Now, the explosion velocity helps you hit really, really hard. Now, moving down, here's where it comes into it. You get a command bonus for Warp Scrambler optimal range and Warp Disruptor optimal range. Now, we don't have Warp Scramblers as yet in the game, but we do have Warp Disruptors. That tells you that this ship is more well suited to being a debuff and assault vessel. That makes it very similar to the Ashimu as a vessel. It's also going to be in that exact same class of combat. Now, rigging it up is going to be slightly different from the others. I'm actually going to go at it exactly the same way in counting up its power requirement. So let's read its basic stats. It has overall defense just under 20,000, 255 meters per second, meaning it is a faster vessel, 3 AU warp speed, 682 megawatt power grid output. So that is another one of those low power grids. The next thing that it has is 2,830 gigajoules with a very small cargo hold of 760 cubic meters. Now, provided you have the research in your engineering, you'll have 954 megawatts to work with this vessel. Now, when I show you what you're going to equip on it and how you're going to run it, you will understand how this vessel will operate. Now, another thing to note in terms of its defense breakup, it is a shield tank build viable vessel. That means it has more points in its shield, as you can see by the distribution over here. It has a lower gain in its power grid at just near 11.56 gigajoules. Your engineering does improve this, so please note that when it comes to the whole after effect. Okay, so let's get out of this and let's get into what we're going to put on it. Remember, it has 6 weapon slots, so this is going to be one of the most costly factors. So we have 954 megawatts, and we're going to start with the weapons on this vessel since they are going to cost you a lot. Now, considering what type of advantage it has, and once more, I am going to go straight to medium missile launchers for this vessel. It is a close range combat vessel, so that's exactly what you're going to put on it. So, putting this on, it's going to cost you 43 megawatts per weapon, and that is going to be 43 times 6. So 696 megawatts remain on the system, provided all your engineering is in the right places. And this weapon's range and power will go up the moment it is this at this range. And with its flight velocity increasing ridiculously, it means it's going to hit and smash into just about everything. It's going to decimate even better than it currently does. Okay, so let's move on to the next thing for this vessel. It has one drone slot. Including it with this, you're just going to go in straight into your drones, medium class, include a Vesper into the build. Kinetic damage doesn't go wrong anywhere, so there you go, 1 megawatt. Okay, so -1, and we're going on with the whole build. Now, mid slots, it allows you 4 mid slots. Now, be very careful on how you deploy this. Remember, you have a missile velocity advantage. That means webifying isn't really going to make too much of a difference to you, but it can make a difference in case there's something which is super fast, like, I don't know, like a Dremiel or something in those classes of vessels. So, let's say you're going to run one webifier and one warp disruptor. Now it can be used in PvP with the warp disruptor. If you're not going to use the warp disruptor, you're just going to go double stasis webifier, and that's -2. So it doesn't make a difference to how much of power you're going to have. You just choose between the two. Okay, moving on, the next thing to think about is what you're going to put on next. Now, considering your range and the fact that you're going to be very close in combat, a Nosferatu is an option, and you're going to use the mediums. Now, don't think about overloading it with the big Nos system. If you put in a big Nos system, it's not going to help you out as much as you want. You have the perfect system as it stands with this level, with the medium class for your vessel. It's only necessary if you are taking heavy damage, which I highly doubt you will, because this build is going to also include a little bit of a speed tank. So with the double of this, it's going to be 176 reduction to power, leaving you with 517 megawatts. Now going down into your low slot, there are several options to run, and as the ship is really good with hitting up close and personal, you're going to go with afterburner to start it off. So I'm going to go straight into an afterburner. That's going to reduce 83 megawatts if I'm correct, or if I'm incorrect, it's 150. 83, right? So there we go. Okay, so one afterburner included into the system. The next place you're going to go is straight into weapon upgrades. Now with these vessels, you're going to notice that I go straight into weapon upgrades a lot. Now there are going to be 3 options coming up in the different types of builds you can run to keep your ship more stable and more power safe. So going down, let me just close anything I don't need. Okay, ballistic control is the very best for your missiles. So using this to improve your missile system is a good idea. It only minuses 7 megawatts from your system, not too expensive. You still have 427 megawatts, and this is where your standard builds stop, and this is where your variations come in. Now you can run a shield booster, you can run a shield hardener. There is one option to make it a little bit more tanky. The other option is to run a shield booster and a missile tracking unit. Now where it is, here it is. Missile guidance computer, sorry. And that is minus 100 megawatts for the additional range and giving you a better firepower. Now, including this into it, you have 327 megawatts to go, and you only have one option left on your system. Now, I'm going to use this as the worst case scenario, but it isn't really going to be your worst case scenario because either one of these builds is just as good as the other. So, a shield booster consumes 55 megawatts, and that is going to be your worst case at 272 megawatts. And that is what you have spare on your system. Now, some players have been overloading these slots. Let me show you what I mean. Because they have so much of power access, they think of overloading them with systems like this. Now, even with power grid output increase, you're not going to be able to do this with this vessel. At the very best, you do this and sacrifice a ton of other systems. You might not even equip mid slot. That's how bad this here will affect your system if you do put it on, and you're going to have to sacrifice your speed and so forth just to have this massive gain of shield. Okay, now moving on to the next thing to worry about on the vessel is going to be, if you didn't go with the missile tracking computer, that's going to be a shield hardener. Now, a shield hardener is way better than a shield extender. Shield extenders are only temporary gains, while shield hardeners are always on and always working. They're very cheap. And as it shows, it's only 1 megawatt in cost, sorry. And considering that complete build, that is the build for your vessel. Now, since it's not in the game, it's purely in theory, everything that I'm saying. You can't test and tell me I'm wrong because it isn't in the game. So anybody who tells me I'm wrong on the build, I'm not even going to bother in replying to your comments. Unfortunately, that's because this build is literally impossible to test. Okay, so moving on with the rigs. Considering what I've said about this vessel so far, plus 25% uh, damage on the missiles immediately, first thing that I'm going to put on. The next thing I'm going to put on is reduction in activation time for my missile so that I can fire faster. That means when I activate my missile, when I activate my ballistic controls, I'm going to fire like mad. I might get in a little bit more in terms of impacts into the vessels and destroy them a little faster. Plus, the increase in damage is already being added from the shop, so a massive bonus to everything. Moving on, the last slot on this here is going to be a plus 25% to your shield booster. The reason is simple, you always want to recover shield. Considering how close you're going to be playing, you're always going to be playing the risky build. Now, you have seen me playing a very similar build with my CNI. If I do put on a ballistic control system to that particular vessel, it will be really, really OP. Now, moving on with the whole build is going to be your engineering. Now, engineering rigs, you're going to add into your navigation, uh, increasing your speed by 15%. That is going to be all that you can do at the moment. It does give you a lot of extra speed, means that speed tanking is going to be something you're going to do considering your close range combat. Remember, you're trying to keep it as close as possible because of the systems that you are using, and especially with the fact that missiles are really, really OP. Nothing should get close to you provided you're hitting them with your ballistic control system. Even an elite won't get anywhere closer than 15 or 16 kilometers to you. If you do need to go any closer, make sure you've taken care of all the small vessels and you're getting very close to cruisers, battle cruisers, and battleships. They are the ones who will take the most damage from you, and if you speed running and hitting at them, you're going to be able to evade most of their fire. Now, moving on from that, the next thing on your grid is going to be a decrease in capacitor recharge time. That's always going to be on any of these vessels, especially with missiles, so that you can always improve the amount of capacitor you have. And last but not least is going to be the increase in the capacitor. Now, a lot of my builds run with their exact same definition. Once you reach expert, everything does change. The requirements of all of these on your system disappear. Remember, there is something else I'm not adding in. The fact that you get a bonus from adding in your advanced engineering and your engineering, everything is increased in how much of capacitor you gain per second. It may not be a set bonus, but it is affecting you overall. Let me just open it and show you what I mean. That will be electronics, engineering, If you look at it, you're getting a bigger capacitor, bigger power grid, and a reduction in warp capacitor need. So everything that this does for you is increases that amount of power that you have on the vessel. And by increasing that capacitor capacity, you have areas which are faster on recharge and areas which are slower. So keeping it above 25% will always give you the optimal recharge. Keeping it below 75% will always give you optimal recharge. So anywhere from 25 to 75%, that's the mid 50%, you always have a good stable ship. If you ever drop below 25%, you go in close, use your Norse to gain a lot of power very fast and destroy another ship at a massive rate. Now, if you are running the missile tracking system and you're using a very offensive build, you're going to run out of capacitor very fast, regardless of what you do. Even if you decided to sacrifice defense altogether and go with the battery, you'll still need to get out of the fight and dock and repair, or dock and get your capacitor back instantly. Those are the fastest ways to gain with this vessel, and it is one of the most looked forward to vessels in the game. You hear players looking for it all the time. That's because they know that a lot of the elite ships are in, and this is the most elite for any missile user. You could even use long range missiles on this vessel to play a longer type game, in which case you can sacrifice other slots on the vessel. Actually, no, you drive that exact same missile tracking unit and ballistic control, and you'll keep yourself a little bit further back so that you don't take much damage. It's going to give you quite a bit of range. You're going to be able to operate at optimal at around 30 to 35 kilometers. I'm not exactly sure. And if you have enough extra research, and let's say you're in expert already, you most probably will be able to operate on the edge of 40 kilometers at optimal. That's how far I believe it's going to take you. So those are some of the best things to do with this ship. So that is going to be it on the Orethus Mordus Legion vessel. As I said, it's one of the most looked forward to. Once more, I want to thank everybody for subscribing to my channel. Thank you all for commenting and liking my videos. And thank you all for even just watching the videos. So a major thanks to the viewers and the subscribers. Thank you all for watching. Have a good day.